Hi guys, PJ here. Today I'm working on a Nissan NV200 and it's a 2016 van. I'm going to be fitting a dash cam into it, and we'll start with where the fuse box is located on one of these. Right down here, you put your fingers underneath this and pull. Nice fuse list on the top there, so you can see what they all do. Nice and easy. It's also in your owner's manual just in case you need it, because obviously some specs will be different depending if it's UK or right, left hand drive, etc., and what bits and bobs the car's fitted with from new. Did I say car? Sorry, I meant van. That used to do in cars. Right, useful tools to do this job. Pretty much what I've got here: roll of electrical tape, plastic leverage tools. Please notice that plastic, don't use a metal screwdriver on your plastic dashboard, you will most definitely make a hell of a mess of it. These are about £1 from eBay or Amazon. This is a Bojo tool, that's the brand of this one. But they're just handy for levering plastic off without making a mess of it. Any plastic leverage tool will do. Some snips, some long nose pliers, because as you've probably noticed, the fuse box is quite well recessed. I use long nose pliers to be able to get the fuses out, okay? It does come with a proper little tool, the van does, but they're not very clever little plastic things that you like clip and pull. A multimeter to test which circuit goes on and off with the ignition key, so your camera goes on and off with the ignition key. If you haven't got one of these, one of them little test probe screwdrivers with a bulb in the end, so you can touch the end of the fuse. Obviously if it lights up when the ignition's on, that's the one you're going to be using. And you'll be using an accessory circuit. You will not be using anything critical such as ABS braking, airbags, that type of thing. We're going to be using an accessory fuse for this, which will lead me straight on to a little disclaimer I need to put, which is: by following this video guide, I am held in no way liable or responsible for any injury to yourself or damage to your vehicle. Right, with that out of the way, let's just shift everything. This is the fitting kit that you can buy. You can buy fitting kits for different brands. I mean, this particular one is a Next-based fitting kit. I highly recommend you get one of these. They have everything in the box you're going to need. A replacement power cable with mini USB on the end of it, plugs into your Next-based camera, and quite a few other brands. A bayoneted red power cable there, it's already got the male connector on the end. An earthing cable to put behind a chassis bolt or screw so it's earthed properly. These are a bit feeble. I sometimes replace these with a ring connector just to be sure, because these are a bit weak, but you don't have to. It's just being a bit over the top with it. A fuse spur, which plugs onto the red power cable I've just shown you, and all it is basically a doubler socket. So you pull a fuse out your fuse box, you shove this thing in. This fuse here runs the camera, and the fuse here, the gap that there is currently, is where you put the fuse that you've removed from your fuse box. So you'll just have a doubler. It's like a doubler socket, yeah? Nice and easy to do, no soldering or anything like that. Last of all, you've got a little interference suppressor, especially for DAB radio. All this is, the cameras normally run at 5 volts. These little boxes in the power cable convert from 12 to 5. It's like a little step-in system, and it can interfere. This tries to cut it out. I normally mount them near the USB cable. I mean, you could mount it near the little box. It won't really make any odds, because from what I've found over the years, they're not that great anyway. If you're going to get interference, there's little this will do about it. But we'll put it on anyway. All you simply do is put your power cable through it like so, and then fold your power cable around underneath it and back out again, and then click it shut, which I'll show you. A bit further along from that, we're going to get some cable ties, 3 of them, wrap them around the cable, and that's basically to support it, so that when you hook up at the headline and you're tucking it up under your headlining of your vehicle, if you hit a big pothole, you don't want your power cable dangling down in front of you and falling out from the headlining. So it just beefs it up a little bit, makes it a bit thicker. So what I'll do, I'll put all the cable ties on now, pop it up under the top headlining, and then show you from sort of that progress, rather than waste your time watching a really long video that's pretty tedious. So I'll do that bit and then go over what I've done. So here we are right at the top of the window screen, putting it central. This van's got no rear windows, so there's no rear view mirror. If it had a rear view mirror, I'd put it slightly to the side, sort of just here. We've beefed the power cable up with some cable ties and wrapped a bit of electrical tape around them. The reason I've done that is A, to stop them sliding up and down, and B, the headlining's very soft. It's made of like a fibre substance. You don't want the sharp edge of the cable tie wearing away at it, rubbing on the inside and making a mess. So it's just to pad it out. We've put 3 or 4 on. And all you've got to do is basically tuck them You don't need to be heavy-handed with this. Don't got it like a bull in a china shop. It's quite fragile stuff, the headlining. And all we're going to do is tuck them up all the way along until we get to the A-pillar, just here. And then we'll run it down the edge. When you get to the corner A-pillar here, just basically grab the rubber door seal. There you go. Pull it away a little bit, and then you can normally just sort of pry it a little bit with your fingers to start tucking the cable. Now if you've got airbags down the side here, we're going to go above them, so it'll sort of be here, the cable tucked down and then up, and then right down the edge here, so you're not going to obstruct any airbags or anything like that. However, to be honest, if an airbag goes off, it'll soon move a bit of wire out of the way. I've deployed many of them over the years, and there's not a lot stops one of them things. So anyway, we're going to tuck the cable down. Can't do it one-handed and hold the camera, sadly. So we're going to go all the way down to the dashboard edge, right down here, so we're getting near the fuse box area down here. Right, so when we get the cable down to this area, what we're going to do is quickly pop off this side panel. Yes, I have loosened it, because doing it one-handed is quite tricky. There we go. That gives you access to this screw. This screw goes through to the dashboard mount, which is steel and is an ideal earthing location. So we're going to take this crosshead screw out and use that as our earthing location. Now we're testing the fuse box for ignition power. So with the ignition on, if we come down here, I've earthed out my earth prong there, look, got your power cable ready, multimeter. So if we now go, there's basically two 15 amp fuses on this right hand drive model, top right corner here, which are 12 volt sockets in the vehicle. Those, hard to see with the camera, it's a bit dark in there I'm afraid, but there we go. 12.05 volts for the top two. If we turn the ignition off, which I'll do right now, and test probe it, 0 voltage. There you go. So those top two blue fuses, which run 12 volt sockets in the vehicle, are ignition switched. Okay, so with your ignition off and key out, you can now go and pull one of those out for your fuse spur. I'm going to choose the top one, but it doesn't really matter which one you do. There we go, mini blade fuse, and that will go into your fuse spur, like so. And then plug the fuse spur in where the fuse came from, back at the top. Before tidying up all the excess cabling and cable tying it behind the dashboard, etc., putting your trim back on, now is a good time to test your camera before you make the final tidy up. So I'll go ahead now and we'll just turn the camera on, make sure it works. So keys in, ignition on, give it a sec, and there we go, boom. Camera on, ready to set up, ready to go. Obviously you're going to need a memory card in your camera. If you're running a 4K camera, make sure you get the right memory card, because the normal one won't work with it. If you're in a 1080p or a 1440 or a 720p, that won't matter, you can use your normal high speed cards. And they loop anyway, so memory size on the card isn't too much of a big issue. Right, we'll go back and tidy everything up now on the bottom corner. Let's turn the ignition off again. The key out, that'll power itself off again because the internal battery in it is currently flat. It takes a while for them to charge up. When hooking your plastic trim back on the side, don't forget the mounting lug at the bottom first, because it like hooks in and down. Make sure your rubber seal's still off at this stage, otherwise it won't go in nice and flush. They're a bit awkward, to be honest with you. There we go, click, 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 and then we can go and push our rubber trim in. And there we go, fuse spur in, all the cabling, all cable tied up and gathered. Shoved it behind this trim here. There's a nice gap at the top to just pop all your excess cabling down. Rubber edge there, nicely back on. Put your fuse box cover back on, like so. Nice and easy these are, they just sort of slide in. And that is how you fit a camera on a Nissan van. If you've got any questions, pop them in the comments below. I will do my best to answer them, but to be honest, I get inundated with questions every day on these vehicle installs. I will do my best though to get back to you quickly. Thanks a lot for watching, and goodbye for now.